Good morning. This is Stephen Wynn. I am Stephen Wynn. This is the Healing the Heart of America course taught through the I Am Heart Meditation Studio. I'm very happy with this studio. I think it's going to go great places. At any rate, hello, Basira. Nice to see you.
Hello, lovely to see you as well. I've been trying to join this since it started, and this is the first time I've been able to, and I'm very excited.
Here you are. Wonderful. Oh, and Saraswati's here too. What a gift. And everyone else, of course. Anyway, so this is the Healing the Heart of America. It's May 13th, 2021. And we've been going this week through the five elements and the healing qualities of the five elements, healing on every level of our body, our emotions, our mind, our heart. And of course, how can we use it to heal the whole, the collective, the heart of America for Americans or whatever country you are in? How do we expand it out to heal that? And today we're working on the air element. Tomorrow we'll work with the ether element, sometimes called akasha. Really just means space, however you translate it. So it's just an extraordinary element. And I have to say, sort of my favorite, the air element. What you will all discover is that you have one element that just sort of sings to you. And it takes a while to see it. And this comes down to the archetype that we are. We're all either predominantly earth or water or fire, air. I remember once we had a little forum of teachers at one of our graduations or something like that. And one guy was an engineer. He was really an earth guy. We had Kalimi. Kalimi here today. Sometimes she comes up. We had Kalimi, who was pure water. She's just pure heart. If you ever had one of her classes, she just washes over you with love. It's just extraordinary. And we had Linda Turner. Some of you will know her. She is just fire. Sharp, quick, fast, a wonderful woman. And then we had, I forget who it was we had for air. We had Elijah Imlay, if you all remember Elijah. Who was just in the, and as soon as someone pointed that out, everybody could see the difference in the personality types based on the element. And this archetype system also has, it turns out to be a matrix. You have the four elements here. We sort of bypass the ether element, but we'll get to it later. Then you have three columns. There's a column for the saints, a column for the masters, and a column for the prophets. And for those of you who aren't familiar with it, I'm going to give you a brief description here. Inside of spirituality, you sort of have two schools. One is that we should surrender to everything. Just surrender, surrender, surrender. Let God's will be done. And the other is that we are sort of co-creators. Let's go out and use the talents that God has given us to create. So we call the first group the saints, the second group the masters, and all depends on who you are, which approach will appeal to you. The prophetic line is sort of a mixture of the two. And ultimately, as we grow in our spiritual progress, we start to become very clear on when it's time to surrender and when it's time to co-create. And that's when we move more into being the prophet. So that's just the picture of where we go with these elements. So I'm fundamentally an air element person. And what the biggest quality, good morning, Wendy, nice to see you. But the biggest quality is about the air element is clarity. When air is pure, you can see right through it. You don't even know that it's there. You think about how clear the atmosphere is, the air is after a rainstorm, or something comes up and you just like see. It seems like you can see an extra few miles off to the distance. That's what clarity does. And so, what we'll be doing, by the way, another. I know this because I'm an air person, but there's two big examples that they give in I Am Heart when they teach about the air element of who in history has been an air element. And if you're familiar with the being called Serapis Bey, this great Egyptian master, who is portrayed as air flying back as he's moving around so quickly. It later becomes Hermes in the Greek system, Hermes Trismegistus. And, Pir Vilayat Khan, who was the son of Hazrat Vilayat Khan, said that all of the instantaneous communications we have of this day comes back from Serapis Bey and his influence for humanity. It's a very interesting story. The other person who's really an air element is Albert Einstein. You talk about airy, with his conceptual conceiving of the theory of relativity. It just takes great clarity to see that. And so all the elements have their strengths and weaknesses. So in terms of gossiping, Betty, I'm feeling chatty here this morning. But well, actually, let's just get started on our meditation. I'll chat while we're breathing this air element practice. So let's all just sit comfortably with our feet on the floor, their spine erect. This is an energetic meditation. It's more useful to be erect than it is to be slouching. More important in energetic meditations than it is in consciousness-based meditations. It's useful for both of them. But at any rate, just sit there, pull your shoulders back, perhaps, get comfortable. And just allow yourself to get ready to meditate. And the way we're going to start is by connecting to our hearts. So take your hands and just place them over your heart in this very ancient posture. All these old statues of beings meditating just like this. You could call this a mudra. Usually mudras are concerned to be with, fingers and this and that, but any posture that develops a divine quality within us, you could call it that. When you sit in full lotus, your feet basically facing up toward the sky, it's a posture that develops the air element. Palms up, feet up. And in this posture, we actually connect to the earth. With our feet flat on the floor. With the energy of our hands awakening our hearts. And notice without even trying what happens to your inner experience when you sit with your hands on your heart. Is it all right? Is it okay with us if spiritual transformation is as easy as this? How much closer to your heart do you feel right now? Whenever you're ready, let your hands come down to your lap. And by the way, it's okay to hold your hands in any posture that you want. But I encourage you to explore doing the meditation with your hands palms up, particularly today with the air element. Now, this may be confusing to some of us who've sat with Puran and Susanna, and they have their hands facing down. And I asked Susanna about it once, and she said, "Oh, no," because she had said it's better for people to slightly better to meditate with your palms facing up. She said, "Oh, no, whenever we meditate at home, we always meditate with our palms up. For the teachers, it helps to be grounded to have their palms facing down. And so when they're teaching, they put their hands down to pull up more earth energy. Because I will tell you what happens, and you will discover this as you begin to teach, is that all of the energy of the group flows through the teacher. And of course, it flows through everyone, but particularly it flows through the teacher to the beings behind. The beings behind us bring forth their blessings to everyone in the class. So while we're on that topic, usually I do it after the next two phases, but while we're on that, let's just go to our invocation. And the invitation is for everyone, whatever your spiritual background, whatever teachers, masters have deeply influenced you in your past, could you welcome them here now? These are the teachers who have our back, so to speak. So, for example, I bring in a number of teachers, but always, as this is the school of I Am Heart, Hazrat Naid Khan, his firstborn daughter, Nisa Inayat Khan, his son, Pir Vilayat Khan, and of course, our peers, Puran and Susanna. But everyone is welcome to this class, whatever your background. And I just encourage you to develop that relationship with your own teachers, to invite them to come while we sit in this deep collective space and allow that attunement to grow. You know, they say, I think it's in the Bible, that there's no greater love than to lay down your life for your friend. When it comes to masters, teachers, the greatest love is to let go of our own personality, so to speak. You never quite let it go, and Allow the master to shine fully through. And it becomes a great blessing to us, a great love for the master, a great gift to the world. So now let's move into saying good morning or good evening, depending where you are, to our breath. Here, all we do is we notice our breath, paying attention, accepting, allowing. Could you unconditionally love your breath just the way it is right now? Just notice it without trying to change it. How deep are you breathing? How clear are your nostrils this morning? Which nostril is more open? Or are they even? Just things like that. How free are your lungs? And again, could we just unconditionally love and adore our lungs, our nostrils, our bronchial tubes, just the way they are, in all their absolute magnificence? These great friends of ours. Once we fill up with love and gratitude for our breath, let's move on to the next step here, which is the full breath. And with this, we simply, on the exhale, pull our abdominal muscles all the way back toward the spine. And then just inhale, comfortably, smoothly, graciously. It's an automatic inhale. And exhale again with the same graceful, stately pace. Full exhale. And just again notice, I always have you compare to your earlier state. What happens when you fill your system with prana, with life force? What happens when you take conscious control of the breath, as opposed to allowing the unconscious to breathe? Whatever you experience is perfect here. There's no right experience other than the experience that you have. Now let's move into our classic heart rhythm meditation, where we begin to connect the rhythm of our breath with the rhythm of our heartbeat. For most of us, that's, say, 8 heartbeats in, 8 heartbeats on the exhale. Could be 6 or 10, whatever's right for you. The main thing is don't struggle. What will happen is over time, your lung capacity will expand. And you'll begin to breathe in more and exhale longer. But we want to let that happen automatically, naturally. It's okay to nudge it a little, but not so that it's a struggle. And as we connect these two basic rhythms, I think I mentioned, I don't know when it was, a few days ago, but there's a third rhythm within us, a third pulse, the beating of the cerebral spinal fluid. And that will begin to move in harmony with the other two rhythms, the heartbeat and the breath rate. It's a very slow pulsing, almost a surge. And don't worry if you don't feel it. It's a very subtle pulse. Just continue this for a minute silently here. And just check to see. Just see if you can sense a connection with the rhythm of nature, the rhythm of the Earth's magnetic pulsing. It's just there. You may get a flavor of it. Over time, it becomes a certainty that the more we move into this rhythm, the more we are connected to the rhythm of life. And just allow that to show up. There's no forcing that one. So this week we've been working with the elemental breathing practices. We started with the air, where we inhale through our nose and exhale through our nose. We moved to the water element, where we inhale through our nose, the energy moving down, filling up our heart. Exhaling through slightly open lips, with the added blessing of being able to direct that energy to any ailment in our body, or to any person or situation where we need more flow. And the fire element reverses those patterns. We inhale through slightly open lips into our solar plexus. We let the light rise up into our heart. We exhale through our nostrils. It's an extraordinarily powerful breath. So with the air element, we breathe in through slightly open lips, and we exhale through slightly open lips. So I just want you to start playing with that. Exhale through slightly open lips. Inhale. Same way, keeping the same count of 8 heartbeats. And I'm going to suggest that you start out doing this with the directed breath, with the air going directly into the heart, in and out of the heart. Just because you've done that in the past, to just remind yourself that you can do this. Inhale. The energy, the air goes in through the nose, but the energy comes into the heart, filling the heart up after the count of 8, whatever heartbeats, and exhaling. Energy goes out of the heart. once we've sort of reminded ourselves how easy that is and how natural that is, I want to do a variation of that. That is, what I want you to do is shift the inhale in through the throat chakra, and then down to the heart. On the exhale, come up through the heart to the throat and out the throat. In through the throat, down to the heart. And exhale. Out the throat, up from the heart, out the throat. The air element is, of course, associated with the throat chakra. So we're just enhancing the effect of the air element and the throat chakra here. We always want to do it in terms of the center of our energetic body, the heart. And as a reminder, the root chakra with the earth element, the second chakra, the sacral center, and water is life, the life force there. It's a water element. The third is fire. Into the solar plexus. So here this air element and the air breath go hand in hand. Now the basic air element, just some of the qualities of it, is you will find the color is sort of blue like the sky. You'll find the movement. Remember the earth movement spread out, water goes down, fire goes up. Air element is like the zigzag of a lightning. Air moves everywhere, every direction, easily, quickly. And that's the pattern of that movement, sort of a zigzag going everywhere. And as you develop your air qualities, clarity comes into your life. Everything becomes exceedingly clear to you. There's also the quality of insight. Great insight, like inspiration. Just see things, they just show. Now I want to change this breathing pattern a little bit just because it has such an extraordinary effect on clarity, on intuition, on insight. And that is what I want you to do now, because you've been going in and out through the throat down to the heart. I want you to move up to the third eye. And I want you to inhale through the third eye, down through the throat, into the heart. Then exhale, just reverse that same pattern. To the throat, to the third eye, and out about 12 or 18 inches. Just let the energy go out. And then pull that energy back in on the inhale from 12 to 18 inches out. Come back through the third eye, through the throat, down to the heart. Till you filled up with the same 8 breaths, or 6 breaths, or 10. So we're doing the same thing, only we're allowing it to go through the third eye. And this is a practice. It's a very useful practice. This is a practice that gives you clarity in the subtle realms. It will actually give you clarity to what other people are thinking, what they are meaning, what they need to know, what they need to hear. So let's just go there for a bit. Same inhale, same exhale with the heartbeat. Another great quality of the air element is intelligence. Intelligence is really tied into clarity. You will find as you do this practice, or any of these air element practices, you will become smarter, more insightful. You'll have more freedom of thought. Now the air purifies by expansion. You know, earth sort of composts or filters to purify, water washes, fire burns, melts, turns to ash. The way we heal our wounds is by expanding them. So we can see inside of them. Once we see inside of them and see the components, see the aspects of it, how it got there, this and that, how it relates to our life as a whole, they lose their power just because they've been expanded and taken apart. Because they have been seen clearly. You know, I always speak about how we want to hear our wounds. Wounds want to be heard and they want to be seen. The air element is critical in that. Seeing. Once they are seen, their job is done. They have communicated whatever intelligence that needs to be communicated. And they are free to dissolve and transform. So it's very useful to see all of your wounds not as your enemies, but as deposits of energetic intelligence waiting to deliver their message. Once that message has been delivered, it's free to leave. Remember, I think a Buddhist fellow, I think, Sat Van, I forget his name, but he says, whatever patterns show up in your life are going to continue to show up until you recognize them, see them, feel them, heal them. And once they're healed, then they can leave. The air element is critical in this. So if something keeps showing up in your life, You may want to do this air breath while you examine them, that pattern. And in fact, let's let go of this practice for a while. And let's go back to, with the air breath, breathing in and out of our heart with an intention. And that intention is to slowly expand the heart with the air breath. So we inhale with the air breath, and then gently exhale and let the heart expand a bit. Inhale with the air breath, let the heart expand some more. One of the things that the air breath does for the heart is it makes the heart more sensitive. Imagine, if you will, blowing on your hands, and your hands suddenly become more sensitive because of the faint sensation there. This is what we do to make our heart sensitive. We breathe with the air breath. So inhale and just breathe into that heart, and then exhale, allow it to expand. Another thing that the air breath does for us is keep doing this expansion, is that it allows us, it develops the capacity of the heart to express itself more fully, more freely. Of course, expression comes from speech. Air breath enlivens that quality. Particularly these very difficult concepts in spirituality that are very, sort of etheric, very light. Is it okay with us if we allow our air element to infuse our speech, that we might speak with lightness and gracefulness? The third thing the air breath does for our heart is it expands our heart. It's sort of like blowing up a balloon. Inhale, we expand it out with the breath. It adds lightness to the heart. So here's the invitation, is to look at your life through the eyes of your heart as it has been expanded. Just keep expanding that heart out. Let it expand out as far as is comfortable for you. From the perspective of the air breath, of the air element in our hearts, the idea is just to look at our life, look at our triumphs, look at our failures, look at our wounds. And from this expanded place, just catch the sense of proportion here. How big are they in your life? Brahm, when he talks about the air breath, he says, you take it out here go out and expand. You look back at your life, all your triumphs and problems and this and that. And from this expanded state, you sort of get the sense that, as Shakespeare says, all the world is a stage and we're just the actors in it. Can you get the sense, the vision, the spiritual vision that in our lives there's this vastly infinite aspect, that we are as much that as we are our personalities? And in that sense, could we allow that vastness to infuse our life, to infuse our relationships? That we might be free to express divine qualities wherever we go, rather than to react and act from our wounds, from our conditioning. Would that be okay with you? Live in this airy sense. It doesn't mean we can't be practical. It doesn't mean the other elements can't be there. It just means, could we allow that lightness of air to help us to flow with the air currents? I mean, we talk about flow with water. Could you allow that same kind of flow of the air to fill your life, to fill the situations in your life, to fill your relationships? And when we look at, the world as a stage and we're all actors, can you see that each one of us has imbibed sort of the elements of our culture, what's appropriate, how to behave? We all take that in. This is the learning process. We have this as a big influence in our lives, a big determinant for how we act and react. We have our ancestors, our genetics. But really it's the ancestors that come through the genes that infuse us with certain patterns and issues to work on, clean up, purify, correct, and have their own tendencies of behavior inside of our ancestral patterns. And of course, we have this third element of our life experiences, our individual life experiences. As we breathe in and out with this air breath, could we allow all three, these major components of our lives, to be lightened, to be refreshed, to be purified, to be expanded? And just notice what happens when you expand your life experiences, for example. You can get a sense of that. They become less dense, more porous, more malleable, more changeable. And could you do that with your ancestral patterns that your family brought to you, both DNA and just family culture? Could you expand that with this air element? Whatever that looks like to you. I know it's a different concept. We just expand it out, let it get big, big, big. And notice what happens when it gets big. It has less intensity. Keep breathing with that air breath. And that third one, the culture, the influences of our culture. For example, in America, we have the culture of growth. It has to keep growing. So we need to consume more energy. We need to dominate the world. Could you allow that pattern to expand? Here we're working on the wounds in the heart of America. Could you allow that to expand? And notice as it expands, it becomes less of a concentrated force, opening the way to shift it. Could we breathe more into the heart of American culture or your own nation? Could we expand out racism? Well, I got a wave of stickiness with that one. Could we expand out racism even more? This deep wound in our country, 400 years of racism, slavery, and the after effects of it. Could we expand out the massacres, the genocide of the Native American people? Expand out. The only good Indian is a dead one. Expand out the bias against the Hispanics, the Asian Americans, every ethnic group that came through. And can we breathe into our hearts and just soften our hearts, allow our hearts to be more sensitive? Every nation does great things and they do bad things. Could we soften our hearts? Everything that our country has done that is less than uplifting. Could we allow our hearts to become more sensitive to it? And can we allow this sensitivity, this love, this expansion, this airing out of these challenges? Could we just let them dissolve, fade away, doing whatever we need to do to heal them? Could we pull up within our hearts that which is powerful, that which is pure in our own culture, whatever country we're living in? Can we bring that up? knowing that every country is going through their own process of spiritual growth, just like we are. And can we allow that growth to happen on a foundation of love, harmony, and beauty? With the spirit of guidance guiding our every step. And just check your heart. If there's any pain that's come up from all of this, could you allow that to shift? Just honor the pain. Let your heart shift it into compassion or whatever you would like, however you'd like to use that energy. Could you allow yourself this gift of clarity to see the way forward for yourself and for your country, for ourselves and the world, that we might move into this radiant culture of the heart for the entire world. And with that, take a moment or two, feel your feet on the ground, and just gently, easily come out of this meditation. Feel free to take as long as you want. And you might check to see how this experience of air compared to that of fire, of water, and earth over the last 3 days. And can you give yourself permission to become fluent with all the elements? They are all our friends. So take your time to come out. I'll just describe a little bit because we have some new people here today. What we do next is it's a time for people who have been really stirred up to speak up, and I'll work with them to shift that into a divine quality of the heart. And also a time for people to share gains. And it's also a time for anyone who has any issue in their life. It could be a health issue, it could be a relationship or work or career or whatever. If they just need help, if they're stuck, this is that time. And what happens is one person will lead us, will have their energy way up on a topic, and that person will bring us into our own energy on that topic. It's never a coincidence. It's never the case. If you ever find yourself saying, oh, this doesn't apply to me at all, and you're here, I suggest you look more deeply, that there's an even greater opening than you might imagine. So the people who speak up are doing us all a great favor. So with that, you could either raise your hand or you could speak up or you could wave to me or whatever. Hello, Sandy. How are you doing?
Hi, Steve. Good, thanks. First, I just want to share gratitude with you for doing these sessions and just let you know how much I've been really deeply impacted by our ability to be together and by your leading them. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
So I don't know that it's a gain, it's more than an observation. And I need your help playing with, and I think this would be beneficial for other people, playing with the transition of these breaths and how they're, at least in my world, how they're impacting me in my heart. And what I noticed yesterday from the fire breath is that it really, like in the deepest, and like in the core, in the center of my heart, in the center of my being, it really opened and expanded what really I've come to label as very deep PTSD in my heart.
Yes.
And I've been dealing with this very extreme PTSD for about the last 10 months now.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the first thing that's really moved it in a particular way, and moved it in a way that I have any control over it. It seems like it's had control over me.
Yes.
And so yesterday when we did the fire breath, I found that I got in relationship with the PTSD in a way that nothing else has allowed me to.
Yes.
And it allowed me to be less afraid of it also, because I was able to be in a dance with it. And I noticed that it opened and it widened and it deepened. And then today, and I sat in bed this morning for a long time, also continuing the fire breath, and I had the same experience, widened and deepened.
Yes.
And then today it expanded a little bit in a lighter way. There was more expansion of it.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, and I don't know how much experience you've had with PTSD or any of these kinds of like stuck things in the heart like this. Should I continue to work with the fire breath around this, or should I?
No.
I transition more from one breath to the other? How do I rhythm this?
No. Hang on. Let's get our language right.
Okay.
I don't want you to work with the fire breath.
Okay.
Okay? I
Okay.
want you to play with the fire breath.
Okay.
I want you to make love with the fire breath. And I want you to make love with the PTSD. Okay?
Yeah.
And you've already started. Right now, it might be a little bit more of a first introduction. But I invite you to enter into a relationship with it. And everyone else who's had any trauma in their lives, go to that right now. Everyone who's had sexual abuse or anything like that, it's the same thing. Go to that right now. So Sandy, can you go in there? And just, is it okay to say hello to it?
Yeah.
Yes. Could you say hello even more?
Yes.
Yes. And even more.
Yes.
And even more.
Yeah.
Yes. And even more.
Yes.
Now, can you see that your experience so far has been that this is a big, huge wound? You know, you've gotten the diagnosis PTSD, or maybe you gave it to yourself. And culturally, we look at that and we say, oh no. Okay. So taking on that label from the culture, could you just let that shift and let this be your own experience, independent of the label. That's okay, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That feels good.
Yes. Yes. And would it be okay with you if this becomes a process that is an extraordinary step in your spiritual growth?
Yes.
Yes. So imagine that you greet this energy because it's there. You've sort of danced with it, and you're not getting clearer with the fire breath and now the air. That these things are there, and you can play with it. Would it be okay with you if you turn this into a joy-filled process of exploration?
Yes.
Yes. And could you have compassion for yourself here? You obviously went through something that was traumatic enough to cause PTSD, right?
Yeah.
So could you just be compassionate with yourself? That your body internalized this energy as a survival mechanism. Something had to happen with this energy, and so it collected it, stored it rather than dealing with it then. And can you see that it's so much easier to deal with it now that you're fluent with your heart, right? What I want you to think of as an example is in high school, you borrow $20 from a friend, you forget to pay it back. In high school, $20 was a lot of money. You go to your 40th reunion and you say, oh, here's that $20. So much easier to pay it back. You see that?
Yeah.
So much easier to heal this energy now than it was at the time. Is that a fair picture?
Yes.
Yeah. So let me just ask, can you talk to this PTSD? Can you ask it?
Absolutely.
What's that?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, can you ask it if it would like to be healed?
Yes.
Yeah, it wants to be healed, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
There is a strong, I'm also getting what you said about there's a strong uh, connection in my spiritual evolution to it.
Yes. Yes. So is it okay with you? Because we could just say, could you let it go? And you could probably do that over time. But would it be okay with you if instead your heart carefully and gently goes through this process of restoring health and pulls out all the spiritual benefits you can? That's okay too, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. So ask your heart, should it be more fire breath, more air breath, more water, more earth? Ask your heart if it has a preference here.
Earth.
Earth?
Yes.
Perfect. That's your answer right there. I'm going to suggest to you then mostly earth, and I'll tell this to everyone, if you can do like 2 or 3 minutes of earth and then water and then fire and then air every morning, it's a great practice to get them all, become friends with them all. But if you get that message from your heart, do extra earth element. Okay?
Yeah.
Is it okay with you if the earth becomes your friend?
Yes.
Yeah. And is it okay with you if the earth absorbs this energy?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's okay, isn't it? And the earth does that in a very gentle, it takes time to compost and all that sort of thing, but it does an impeccable job, doesn't it? Yeah. And once you get the stableness and the steadiness of the earth very strong in your system, the PTSD energy will become much more manageable, won't it? Yeah, because right now it might blow you over, okay? But once you have this steady connection, this rootedness to the earth, you become immovable, right? One of the ways you tell if a person is earth energy, because this happened to me, I'll just tell you the story. I said to one of my teachers, I think I've got a lot of earth energy because I was always the most practical person in the room. I thought, that's earth. She looked at me, sort of scrunched her face up. She goes, no, no. He says, with earth energy, if I push someone on the shoulder like this, and she pushes me and I go backwards. She says, an earth person won't do that. Some of you will know Omar, Steve Pollock, who was standing right there. And she said, watch this. He's an earth guy. And she pushed him and he hardly moved. Okay. And, what I was confusing was my clarity for practicalities with earth energy. I was really air. So what'll happen for you is your PTSD won't even move you. And then slowly it'll just keep fading away, fading away, fading away. And eventually you look back and you'll say, wow, this has been an extraordinary journey. Okay. And then you'll be able to help other people go through it. Okay. You see how that works?
Yeah.
Yeah. So where else should we go here? Are you okay with this? Or do you want to go?
I think my biggest challenge is being with it. I go in and out of being able to be with it. I'm able to observe it.
Yes.
And then there are times when I'm completely reactive to it and it has me. I'm in the grips of it.
Yes. So is it okay with you if when it has you, if you just go back to your friend, the earth breath? Okay. Yeah. And can you go right now to that place where you're sitting there? Imagine that it has you fully in its grips. Anyone else, imagine your memories of your traumas coming up so strongly. And can you just allow that energy to be there? That be okay with you? Yes. Now, when you allow that energy to be there, does it really have you in its grip?
No.
No. So is it okay with you if you just greet this with allowing?
Yeah.
Yeah. And just keep allowing. And is it okay if this allowing or this energy keeps coming and you keep allowing and you keep allowing until you move into a place where it is so automatic for you that it just happens? The allowing.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's building up a new pattern of reaction, isn't it? Instead of reacting, you move into allowing.
Yes.
And could you allow that allowing to expand to be there for everything that shows up in your life?
Yes.
Yeah. So imagine going through your life, allowing everything to show up. And still, using your common sense to behave and this and that. But on the energetic level, that binding reaction isn't there. Is that okay with you?
Yes.
Yeah. So can you welcome up this energy some more? This PTSD energy some more. And could you allow yourself to expand here? Your heart to expand. Does that work for you to expand it?
Yeah, there's some help that's coming in. I'm feeling some energy coming in to help me.
Yes, yes. So this energy coming in to help you, could you just say yes to that?
Yes,
Yes. And with this energy, which is really there all the time, ask this energy if it's always there for you.
yes. Sometimes it's stronger than others.
Yes,
Sometimes it's more allowed and welcome than others.
yes. And with practice, is it okay if you allow that all the time?
Yes,
Yes. And can you see that if you allow this energy all the time, you will start to live in a state of grace?
yes,
Yes. And that's okay, isn't it?
yes,
So from this place here of grace or the expanded heart, however you want to call it, can you see that this is bigger than your PTSD energy?
yes,
It is, isn't it? You are bigger than it, and this makes it a tool for you to use and use to grow. Yes?
yeah. I feel like I'm sitting in it, like it's a force field in a
Good,
good way.
good. Would it be okay with you, and it's okay to say no, would it be okay with you if you dive into this force field?
Yes.
Yes. And could you dive in some more? And let me ask you a question. And everyone dive into your own trauma field, okay? Is it safe for you to be in this field, Sandy?
Yeah.
It is, isn't it?
Feels good.
Feels good.
Yeah.
So could you go in even further? Whatever that means to you, just dive in more deeply. And can you tell me what's underneath the entire, or what's behind the entire force field?
It's it's benevolent. It's love,
Yes,
divinity.
yes. Wow, perfect. Can you see that this PTSD has been a doorway for you to walk into the infinite?
Mm.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
This is what Rumi means when he says, the wounds are where the light enters.
Mm.
You have a big wound here, and what it means is you are ready for big light. Okay? So is it okay with you over the next weeks or months or however long it takes, when this energy comes up again, that you are there to go through the same process? Just be with it, allow it, love it. Know that it's really your friend, even though your mind may not think so. It's really there to show you the infinite. Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Yes. All right, I see that smile.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I think we can let that be there, huh? Okay?
That feels really good. I love that.
Yeah.
That shift. That shift.
So what I'm gonna suggest to you, and I'm gonna tell this to everyone because I had one request, is that all these recordings are on my website, healingtheheartofamerica.org. All right, they're up there, they're there forever, free. You go to the website and then they're on the archive, or it might say archive meditation tab. They're there by date and by title, so you can just find them. They're on the top of that page. If you get stuck again, Sandy, I'd encourage you to go back and listen to this. Okay? This will start about an hour in, so you can just go right to this, somewhere in there. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much, Steve.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for your energy.
So, is there anyone else that has a gain or wants to do some work? Or should I tell a fun story?
Tell a fun story.
All right, so this ties in to you, Sandy, about how I said you could help people after you've gone through it. So the story is it's out of India. So this woman has a son, like a 5-year-old son, who is really addicted to sweets. He's stealing them all the time and eating them all the time, and the mother's at wit's end. You know, she tries threatening and bribery and this and that, but nothing seems to work. So finally, she hears about this guru who helps people, and she grabs the boy, stands in line, and says to the guru, when she finally gets up there, she says, he has a problem with sweets. He just can't stop eating them. And the guru goes, He says, bring him back next week. She goes, okay. Next week, they bring it back, they stand in line, they get up there, and she says the same thing, and he goes, wait another week, bring it back another week, next week. And this goes on for finally it's 6 weeks. She brings him up, she's getting a little impatient about this, and he says to the boy, he says, don't eat so many sweets. The boy says, okay. And the mother goes, what? Why didn't you just say this the first week? And he said, I had to let go of my own addiction to sweets. So what happens here, and this is why, I can lead these classes, and, Jeff's on the phone here. Jeff can lead these classes, things like this. It's because we've released so much stuff that I can say, can you let that go? Can you dive into it? And I've done it. And it works for people because of that. It's not that there's anything magical about it. It's just we've done it. And you're going to go there, Sandy. Okay? You're going to go there. And I look forward to that day. I really do. And everyone else is too. Okay. If anyone wants to jump in, we can jump in. Otherwise, let's. Oh, Jean, how are you? You need to unmute yourself.
Hello.
Hello.
And I'm doing well. I realized something, and I made a list, a shopping list. Yeah. Okay. Here's what it is. And I realized something, and it's all about accepting oneself. And I'm always someone else's cheerleader. And I remember you talking about somebody else. I can't remember what the story is. And I thought, oh my God, that's me. I'm a cheerleader for everybody else, but not for myself. And if I'm not a cheerleader for myself, I'm beating myself up. And I think about all the things I don't do right. So that's my story.
That's a great story. Anybody else have that story? It's just a few of us?
No, just me.
Just you. Yes. Oh, Jean, is it okay with you if you're special?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's great, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it is.
Oh, yeah, it's great. So could you welcome up this habit, this pattern of you cheerleading for everyone else?
Right.
Right. So what do you get when you're a cheerleader for everyone else?
I feel as if I'm supporting everybody else, but I forget to support myself.
So let me ask you, when you support everyone else, do they give you love and approval?
I mean, yes, yes,
Yes.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right. So I'm gathering that this is one of your strategies for getting love and approval. And the rest of us don't do that, Gene.
Amazing.
Right. Okay. We obviously all do it. We all have our strategies for getting love and approval.
Right.
And they're actually useful strategies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, I imagine if you look at your life, there's great things about your life and maybe some things needed to change, but your life has worked.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. And everyone's going to say this. Yeah, to a degree it's worked. And it's because of all these strategies that our minds and egos use. Would it be okay with you if you developed a new and easier and more fulfilling strategy?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So first of all, do you see that you're disapproving of yourself for being a cheerleader for everyone else, but not for yourself?
Yes.
Yes. And does that disapproval, has that worked in changing that pattern for you?
No, not at all.
Does not work. So would it be okay with you if we took a different approach here?
Yes.
Good. So could you welcome up that disapproval energy?
Yes.
And could you just greet it with love?
Yes.
And greet it with even more love?
Yes.
And is it okay if you just feel that energy and absorb that energy and let it transform?
Yes.
Yes, it's a relief, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So it's got a message that it wants to be heard, and now you're hearing it. Could you welcome it up some more?
Yes.
Could you welcome it up even more
Yes.
and even more?
Yes.
Yes. And now you've got a choice here. You can continue disapproving of this pattern that you have, or you can shift what you do, and instead of disapproving, which hasn't worked, you can give it love and approval. Would you be willing to do that?
I have some anger because I feel as if I ask for someone to be my cheerleader, they won't do it, and they don't want to because it's all about them.
Right.
And I
Right.
guess it's bring up anger.
Right. So would it be okay with you
My turn. When is it my turn?
if you stepped into a whole new pattern here?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So let's go back. Could you let go of the disapproving?
Yes.
And instead of disapproving of this pattern, could you give it some love and approval?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Could you give it some more love and approval?
Yes.
Notice it's not just the pattern we're giving love and approval to, it's your mind, right?
Yeah. I'm beginning to look at it as a strength now to do it,
Yes.
to be someone else's cheerleader, that I don't have to need their approval.
Right. You can do it just because it's a very loving thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels good to cheer others, doesn't it?
Yes.
Celebrate their successes.
Yes.
And is it okay if you do that without wanting their love and approval?
Yes.
Yes. So imagine for a moment here, you really encourage someone, they do really well, and then they ignore you.
Okay.
How does that feel to you?
Doesn't feel so good.
Right. Would it be okay with you if you welcomed up that feeling,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and realize that at its core is that wanting love and approval from them,
Yes.
okay?
Yes.
Okay, and could you welcome up that lacking feeling of not having enough love and approval?
Mm-hmm.
Just a feeling. And could you greet it with love
Yes.
and more love
Yes.
and more love?
Yes.
Yes. So let's go back to this picture where you cheer someone on, you encourage them, you're happy for the success, and then they ignore you.
I'm feeling good no matter what.
You're feeling good no matter what. Now, notice how effortless that is, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I can see it in your smile here. Is it okay with you if you allow yourself to feel good, irrespective of what other people do or say?
Yes. Yes.
And It's not that we don't want love and approval from other people. That's okay. It's okay to allow it. Let's put it that way. We allow it, but it doesn't really work to be desperate for it. That's the distortion of that particular wanting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So is it okay with you if people give you love and approval?
Yes.
Yeah, of course it is. It's a very natural part of life. Is it okay if you give other people love and approval?
Yes.
Yes. Is it okay if you give other people love and approval just because it feels good and they don't respond?
Yes.
That's okay. That's a big shift here, isn't it?
Yes.
So could you check inside to see, let's pick someone who's done that to you, where you've been their cheerleader and they ignored you, something like that.
Or
So,
if I have any successes, they always tell me how it wasn't a big deal.
right. So they detract, they become detractors.
Yeah.
So the people that are your detractors, so how happy are these people?
I thought they were happy, but I guess not.
I don't think so, right?
Yeah, they can't.
They're unhappy. They're afraid you're going to be more successful than they are.
They are. They are. And I just don't understand it.
Well,
They have a lot of successes, and it doesn't make sense to me.
could you allow them to have their own wounds and go through their own process of spiritual growth?
Yes.
Yes. Could you allow yourself to move into compassion for them?
Yes.
If someone detracts, it means they're angry and they're fearful. And God bless them, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, God bless them. Who can, we just hope for the best for them, right? We give them more love.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Could you give that person more love?
Yes.
Yes. And even still more.
Yes.
Yes. And imagine that they still detract and they backbite and they spread rumors about you.
Oh, it seems to be getting worse.
So welcome up that, because I added in rumors and backbiting and all that other stuff.
That was the word I had in mind, backbiting.
Yes. Yes.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Gotcha. So could you welcome up that experience of someone backbiting and stabbing you in the back and spreading rumors about you?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
A lot of energy there. Okay. Is it okay with you if you greet that energy with love?
Yes.
Yes. And notice that there's a lot of it there. Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if all this energy shows up and you keep on returning to love, wouldn't that be a gift to you?
Most definitely.
Most definitely. So imagine it keeps on going like that and pull it up, keep going through this energy.
Mm-hmm.
Every time that fear that they're going to spread rumors or backbite about you, you feel the energy, you feel the burn, whatever it is, you love it,
Mm-hmm.
it's transformed until it never shows up again. Would that be okay with you?
Yes.
Yes. And could you look at the person who's backbiting, spreading rumors about you with compassion?
Yes.
Yes. And just to discriminate here for a second, in the long run, doesn't who you are show up for people?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, people may spread rumors and this, and then they meet you and they go, that's not who I thought she was.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be okay with you if you become such a loving person to completely transform people no matter what they may have heard about you?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's okay, isn't it? And how satisfying would that be to you?
It'd be wonderful.
It'd be wonderful. So is it okay with you if it takes a while, because you have this deep pool of energy about backbiting?
Mm-hmm.
If it takes a while, it just keeps coming up and you just keep on moving into love.
Yes.
That's okay, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can you see how this pool of energy is really teaching you how to move into love?
Yes.
Yes. Could you thank this energy?
Yes.
Yes. Could you see it as your friend?
Yes.
Yes. and it's there to remind you when you're lacking love. Because when
Mhm.
you're full of love, it won't even show up, right?
Right.
So it's just saying, hey, I need you to go back to love.
Yeah.
That's okay, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Now, when you start loving this energy, can you just give it a little bit of love and approval?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, give it some more.
Mm.
Do you notice that as you give more love and approval, you become lighter, quieter, and easier inside?
Yes. Mhm.
Would it be okay with you if you lived in this light, easy, quiet state all the time?
Yes.
Yes. And could you make that decision again?
Yes.
It's okay for me to be light, easy, and quiet all the time. Yeah. So that's the practice. That's the homework, Gene. Okay?
It won't be hard to do.
I know. I can see it. I can see it in your face. Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right, my friends. So nice to see you. I have great love and great respect for every one of you, and very grateful that we get together to go into our hearts so deeply for ourselves and for the world. Much love to you all. See you tomorrow with the ether element, which is sort of new for most people. So we'll have fun with that.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you. Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste.